And that's what it is. And then it's like 3 other members of Men of Respect ain't here. And that's Oskino Sparks and my man Donnie Warbucks. So Don, what up, nigga? O Sparks and my man Donnie Warbucks. All know Owen Sparks. And that's my clique. And that's how it's going down.
What up?
Yeah.
Hey yo, check this shit out.
Okay, I was gonna say where the music at. Hold on, it's coming. All right.
Yeah, I know, right? It's usually here already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But G's fuck mess up too, I guess.
No, it's cool.
There it is. Little late, but better, you know. Even now and then. Very benign, you're never gonna find.
If you was looking for Petey here now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You guys know.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing out there? Welcome to a new episode of the Eye Test. I am Mark. This is Sean. You could tell the difference because I'm the more handsome one.
Look, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? They say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You know, they say that's it's subjective, not objective. Or excuse me, it's objective and not subjective. But you know, that's fine. You know, you could be the more handsomer one today. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you have that.
Nico play this video though.
Yeah.
That's what you get. All right, listen, man. Look, we got a big episode for you guys. I just want to get into it. I don't want to waste no time with you guys. If you think I came here to play with you today, you got another thing. I should clip that.
Hey, look.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
right. I should clip that. But look, man, we got a good episode for you guys. We're going to talk about everything that happened in Week 8. We're going to talk about some of the results of some of these trades that happened in Week 8. And we're going to get into some basketball and get into some benching of quarterbacks and why that may have happened. All right. So with that being said, man, let's just go ahead and start. Are you ready to start, Sean?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm just making a few edits, but we here now. We good. Let's go.
All right. So let's just start with the Week 8 recap as always, man. What was your favorite? Let me just ask you, what was your favorite game from this week?
Ooh, favorite game from this week. Man, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be biased this week. The Niners game. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm being biased, and maybe I'm not, Mark. But you know what? I wanted to see my team bounce back. I wanted to see my team show me something. I wanted because the worst thing that could have happened for our season, Mark, was for us to lose back-to-back games. And have the second game be the Cowboys, right? Like the last thing, like that would be the mark of the times, Mark. That would absolutely destroy any faith that any fan has in our team. Is if we would have lost that game to the Cowboys. They try to come back and all that, but you know what I'm saying? Getting a dub over the Cowboys in general, Mark, is always a celebratory situation. You know what I'm saying? I get to watch the Cowboys lose, and I get to see my team win, all in the same game, right? So, you know, call me a Cowboys hater or whatever, but yes. So my favorite game of the week was us breaking our foot off in the Cowboys' asses. Watching Dak do what he does best, underthrow balls into interceptions. I mean, it was just a joyous occasion. And to add to it, you know, my mother-in-law is a Cowboys fan. And, you know, the first time we played, where we sat down and watched the game together with the Cowboys and Niners, she's a pretty reserved person. If you could have heard the way that she was talking to me, Mark, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, so this is exactly, okay, you know what I'm saying? I thought it was going to be a friendly little thing. So I was talking crazy to my mother-in-law, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it was a great day for me. So the Niners game was mine, but that's all for biased reasons. But realistically, it showed me that our draft class was strong this year, and everybody that we had that was in the game that we drafted this year, because Kyle is being forced to play them, All of these guys showed up. Mustafa wasn't getting ran over. He actually made a bunch of plays. You know, everybody was doing the backups were stepping up, and I feel like we don't always have a next man up type of team outside of what you've seen with Jawan Jennings and outside of the running back situation. So seeing it on defense made me feel good. What was your favorite game, Mark?
My favorite game? To be honest, my favorite game might have been the Bears and Commanders, simply for the way that it ended. Like, that game was a snore fest all the way up until the end, but the end was incredible. So, that might have been my favorite game of the weekend in general. There wasn't really a whole lot of slobber knockers, where it was like a back and forth effort between teams. I feel like most of the teams this weekend may have won pretty convincingly, but that's not true neither. Tampa Bay had a back and forth, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, they definitely made it interesting.
Especially without all their receivers, they gave a run for their money, man.
Well, let's be honest. I think what people aren't talking about with that game, Mark, is it looked like them boys was in for a long night in the beginning because Tampa Bay they were rolling. You know what I'm saying? It looked like it was going to be a blowout on the side of Tampa Bay at one point. So, it was a great game for back and forth.
If only Baker Mayfield figured that out a game ago.
Yeah, for real though.
If he could have figured that out a game ago, maybe he wouldn't have lost his receivers like that, trying to with the team trying to be heroic at the end. But hey, man, shout out to Baker Mayfield because by and large, man, the dude has been playing great. He's been playing great football, and as someone who has been very critical of Baker Mayfield since being drafted, I hats off, man. You are my criticisms of you right now are very small to the point where I'm just like, man, water off a duck's back. Whatever it is, the dude is still playing great football and a lot of growth in his game. I really enjoyed watching him. But like I said, my favorite game was the Chicago-Washington game. I want to talk about that for a second, man. Chicago defense did an excellent job throughout that game.
Yeah.
Good.
Chicago's defense right now is a top defense in the NFL, just to put it out there. So I don't think people knew that going into this game, but I think people are on notice.
Yeah, they may not, but we seen that in week 1. We saw that in week 1 of the season. Chicago's defense pretty much led them to a win in week 1. Because
they did.
Caleb Williams played terrible in week 1, and Chicago's defense drug him across the finish line.
Well, didn't they have no offensive touchdowns that game? It was the defense that scored touchdowns?
Defense scored touchdowns. I'm gonna just tell you what Caleb Williams' stats were from week 1. 14 for 29, 93 yards total. He didn't throw an interception, so there's that. But 14 passes for 93 yards in week 1. All right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that, and I'm saying that for a comparison to this week where the defense holds the Washington Commanders, who have been averaging a point total of 31 points per game. They hold them to 12 all the way up into the very last second of the game. So through all 4 quarters, because the clock was already at 0 when they scored. So through all 4 quarters, they held the Washington Commanders to 12 points. And somehow the Chicago Bears had only managed 15 points in 4 quarters. Caleb Williams was 10 for 24 in this game, 131 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. So at least he wasn't hurting the team in the turnover department. But still, his completion percentage in this game was abysmal. It was awful. Absolutely awful. And Chicago's defense came out and played. But in the end, Caleb Williams, on that very last play, instead of recognizing his shortcomings, recognizing where, like, dang, I should have played better to not put my defense in this situation. When the defense gave up that last Hail Mary, he storms off the field in a pouty situation. I mean, he looked like my 5-year-old walking off the field. I'm not kidding. Like, that's what it looked like to me.
You're talking about shoulder swing, arms
down,
his shoulder swinging, just like
he ran off like Red and Friday. I was like, no, what is bro doing? Like, I was like, what is he doing? You didn't score through 3 quarters. You couldn't score. In the 4th quarter, you finally scored twice. And it wasn't like you threw a pass to score twice. No, like you threw some balls down the field, and the rushing did the rest.
Yeah,
like you didn't score the big ones. You can thank Roschon Johnson. You can thank DeAndre Swift, who had 18 rushes for 129 yards, averaging 7.2 yards a carry. Right, so really, DeAndre Swift put this team on his back to get it done for the most part. And you was kind of along for the ride, trying not to mess it up. But you want to be upset and storm off the field when your defense finally gives up a play. They should have never been in that situation. If I hold a team to 12 points through 4 quarters, I expect not to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, I 100% expect not to be in that situation. But you put your team in that situation, Caleb. And now, that's what we're looking at. Caleb Williams did that to his team, and it is what it is. Chicago Bears take the L. Commanders continue their magical season. And I commend the Commanders because they went through a lot with their previous ownership. Their stadium is still trash and abysmal, but that's probably going to change it here in the near future. But I'm enjoying watching what the Commanders is doing right now, all the way up until they play some real competition, and we're gonna have to put them in their place. You know what I'm saying?
But let me put it this way, Mark. I told you I had that conversation with my sister about it, right? I looked at the schedule. They only have 2 more games on their schedule with quality opponents. That's it. Guess what one of those opponents will be?
It's us. They haven't played them once. We haven't played them once. So the 2 games is us.
I'm just saying, they don't really. I think there was one other game that was an okay opponent, and all I said was, that's not a great opponent, but it's a game that you shouldn't lose, right? And that's all they have. They said, like you said, they got to play the Eagles twice, and then they have an okay opponent somewhere. But nah, man, they got to. There we go. Atlanta. They got to play Atlanta. I told her Atlanta's inconsistent.
Very.
And I said that's very consistent. So that's what you got. You got the Eagles twice. You got Atlanta. That's it. So from there, it's just, hey man, what's going on?
Yeah, the Eagles.
So y'all, I told her straight up, look, you a Commanders fan, y'all gonna have a very nice record at the end of the season. Don't go to thinking that your team record is indicative of how great your team actually is, because they leave a lot to be desired on the defensive side of the ball.
But I don't want to take anything from them.
No, I'm not.
Like they have played. They have. at the end of the day, it's the same thing. I'm going to end up saying about the Eagles. You can only play the opponent that's in front of you.
That is true.
And the opponents that's in front of them, they excuse me, I apologize, but by and large, they have taken care of business when it comes to the opponents right in front of them. They have the only people that they lost to was, unfortunately, the two quality opponents that they had, which was Tampa Bay and Baltimore. Like the two real quality opponents that they had, they lost to. But here's the thing. They do go up a quality defense. Maybe not a quality offense, but they do have a quality defense coming up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
so,
that's the Pittsburgh right now. They've turned a corner, or they're in the middle of turning a corner here offensively. And by the time they play them, that might be an actual game where it's like, okay, you got to show up. You really have to show up for this. Because right now, these last two games that they played, the offense looks a lot more alive. So we'll see how this goes. I know people might be looking at their score. I will remind people that there was a special teams touchdown. So relax, you know what I'm saying? but yes, if the Steelers do fully turn that corner offensively, then yes, that would be a quality opponent. But like I said, I don't trust Atlanta right now. I feel like they're still not working as efficiently offensively as they should be. But I'm gonna get into all that, Mark. I'm by the time we finish up this recap, I will have finalized my power rankings here. You wanted me to go through that.
All right, cool. And then, let's keep it in the NFC East for the moment. Because looking at the Dallas Cowboys have potential to turn things around. There's a lot of turnovers happening with the Dallas Cowboys right now, on the field, particularly with Dak Prescott. He hasn't been playing well. I pointed that out in week 1 when they went up against Cleveland. I said Dak wasn't all that great in that win.
Yeah,
I pointed that out at that time, and Dak has continued to not be that good to this point now.
You're saying not that good. He's been bad. Let's call it what it is. He's been bad.
I'm trying to.
You trying to be nice, man. He's been bad. I don't care what his stats say. Do you know that Dak? I'm gonna look this up, but if I'm not mistaken, Dak, I've seen at least 3 or 4 red zone interceptions over the last 3 games. Mm-hmm. He has to be leading the league in red zone interceptions. That's bad play. That's not. Oh, he's not doing well. That's bad.
That's what Dak does anyway, though.
So you're saying he's just not playing well for Dak standards? I'm telling you, he's playing bad for NFL standards.
I feel
as a franchise QB standards, he's playing bad.
Hey, man, but that is what Dallas Cowboys signed up for, and the fact that they don't have any run game to lean back on. This is probably going to be their season, because now teams don't really have to stack the box because these runners aren't no threat. They don't have to do anything against these runners to stop them. So now they just got to make sure that they take care of CeeDee Lamb, and you pretty much take care of the team. Which, by the way, what were you guys thinking when you went up against Dallas? How is it, there was 15 to 20 yard radius around CeeDee Lamb when he scored both times? How did that happen, Sean?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. When we play CeeDee Lamb, we don't care where he lines up at, Mark. We don't send somebody to follow him. We just act like he's another wide receiver on the field.
You act like he wasn't on the field. There was nobody there.
What I'm trying to tell you is,
from start to finish, he ran a route. It was like he was running practice routes.
Mark, this is what I'll say, right? Because I will have to go back and watch the plays. Number one, if he's not lined up with Charvarius Ward, there's a very good chance that he's going to get open. Number two, if he's lined up in a slot, there's an even better chance that he's getting open because we're playing cover 3, Mark. Okay, we're playing cover 3, one high safety. If he lines up on the inside, which he tends to do, we probably don't have nothing for that, all right? Unless if Fred Warner is playing zone. Everybody's playing zone on the inside. The outside is being covered all the way. And if he's out, like I said, the plays where he was lined up in front of Charvarius Ward is different. Outside of that, Mark, we can't account for him, and it is what it is, Mark. Now, why he was so wide open, I don't have an answer for that. I can tell you this: I don't like our defensive coordinator, Mark. And I feel like he's still figuring out what play call. He's still figuring out his play calling style. And it's too late in the season for him to be still figuring out his play calling style when it comes to certain situations and certain players. And I feel like he doesn't have an answer for that. That's my explanation. Is the defensive coordinator doesn't know what plays to call in certain situations. That's not a vanilla situation. It's you're going up against the Cowboys. They're absolutely they're looking to target CeeDee Lamb on damn near every single play. It's not a normal NFL defense situation, and I just feel like you don't have answers to those types of situations. But he's a brand new defensive coordinator, only been a position coach for like 2 years. He's new to coaching in general. So, yeah, that's my issue with it. But if you look at CeeDee Lamb's history versus the Niners, he's averaging probably like 12 catches a game against us. This is what he does against us. It's not nobody else eats, but CeeDee Lamb eats. That's the way it works.
That doesn't make sense, man.
It doesn't, but that's the way it works. I'm just telling you. Do yourself a favor. Go look it up.
I'm just letting you know that doesn't make sense. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason why the team's number one receiver should be looking like Travis Kelce when he catches a ball from Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago, where there was just nobody around at any given time, and it was like, it was like from start. And it's not like he put a move on anybody from the start of the route to the end of the route. He was by himself. I don't know how the team loses track of the number one receiver from the very beginning of the play.
Now, what I will also mention to you, Mark, is that I think 2 out of the 3 picks that Dak threw was against CeeDee Lamb on the outsides. What I tell you, if he lines up in the middle, we ain't got no accountability for him. But I can tell you this, the last 3-4 games we played against them, 80% of our picks that we got against Dak were against CeeDee Lamb. So it evens out, Mark. That's all I can tell you. I wish I could explain to you why that's happening. I don't question it anymore because we get picks on balls thrown to CeeDee Lamb, and we win games because of those picks. I don't question it anymore. I just let it happen.
At the end of the day, though, the day's going to end, and you guys got to win. Woo! Look at them bars.
Hey, that's good. That's cool, man. Look, it's the Cowboys. It's the one time that we always feel confident. I've never seen Kyle call a trash game versus the Cowboys. There's a certain games that Kyle gets up for, and the Cowboys is one of them.
All right, I feel you.
Yeah.
All right, so but no, that was an excellent showing by you guys. Thanks for go ahead and giving the Cowboys yet another loss. I should start listening to Dallas radio and Dallas YouTubers and stuff like that more often. When they play well, I'm gonna be honest. Like I am a true Dallas hater. Like I am a true blue Dallas hater. When they up and in good spirits, I don't really care. I don't be going out my way to hate on them in their good spirits, but I'm not going to go listen to them be in good spirits. But boy, when they are reeling and circling the drain, I'm like, dog, let me go see what Botch Lombardi is up to.
Hey, that's funny. You know what's funny? I be watching his stuff, man, and you can. There's some times where you can tell he kind of knew that they was gonna lose the game, and then there's times where you watching him, and it's like, hey, you can see it has to be frustrating for him, man. He's now, and just in case you guys don't know, Voch Lombardi is somebody that I've known, from Facebook groups, other various Facebook groups online for a long time. I would consider him a friend or associate, whatever you want to say. He's doing good in life. He turned nothing into something. He got a sign. He got a deal with Volume, with Colin Cowherd. He has his own Cowboy-centric show on YouTube, on Volume, whatever.
Yes.
So he's doing great in life. He has all the things. He coached high school ball. He did all this stuff. He's been living out his dreams since I've known him. And he's at a peak right now, man. So everything's going right in life. But there's something about watching him still suffer inside. Knowing that he can have everything that he wants in life except for Cowboys success. And you can see it in his face when they lose a game that they're not supposed to lose. Hey, do yourself a favor, Mark. Go back and watch his show he did after the Lions game.
Hey, man, listen. Like during the summertime, I listen to Voch Lombardi a lot. Yeah. I'm not gonna during the summertime I listen to him a lot. I end up catching up and knowing what Dallas is up to, knowing what draft picks is out there and stuff like that.
Great at breaking down X's and O's and telling. He's really good at prospect analysis, man.
Yes, his prospect analysis is great.
Probably one of the best that I've seen. I'm not just saying that.
But when it comes to the regular season, I'm so Eagles focused and focused on us that I don't really have time for that. But when they lose, first thing that comes to my mind is dang, let me go check out Voch. Let me go listen to the Cowboys fans get on the line and start cussing. It makes me feel good. I get warm and fuzzy inside. But, you know what I'm saying? But
it's funny.
But we have some games coming up, man. We have some things coming up in the future. The Commanders will be going up against the Cowboys here soon. And so that'll be exciting to see if the Cowboys can get a turnaround against the rookie QB and the Commanders defense, or if the Commanders could continue their run on under 500 teams and get another win. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Speaking of beating up on under 500 teams, Eagles got a win. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Mark, I want to mention the Eagles' record, man. They 5-2, Mark. Let's go for it. The Eagles, dare I say, they look better than expected. They have a better record than expected, and I don't want to jinx them or anything, Mark, but they are quietly one of the better teams in the league that nobody's talking about.
Well, here's the thing: the Eagles, let's be very clear. Yeah. The Eagles are a wide open Saquon drop catch away from being 6-1.
Yes, very, very clear. Yes.
They are a wide open Saquon missed catch from being 6-1, and then the defense failed against Atlanta. But I said at that time that I look at that loss to Atlanta as a blessing, because if we went into the bye week with that win, that would have covered up the fact, the things that are going wrong. They would
have gone into the bye week saying we don't need to fix nothing.
Right. Right. They would have been we 6-1. I mean, not we 6-1, but they would have went into the bye week at the time we have one loss and it was just to Tampa Bay, blah blah blah. They wouldn't have felt nothing at that time. But going into the bye week at that time being 2-2, baby, or was it 2-2?
Because I was gonna say y'all haven't lost. it's not that you guys just haven't lost. It's just a bye week. You look like a different team. I don't want to hype it up, but that Packers game was wild. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys won that, right? You should have lost that. You should have lost that game.
No, we shouldn't.
So, huh?
No, we shouldn't.
It was definitely there. It was definitely there.
No, the chance to lose was there, but it wasn't like we should have lost. No, like there was no play where.
Well, let me put it this way. The way that game started, and the fact that the Packers were unable to capitalize on how horrible you guys played for a quarter and a half to 2 quarters is why I'm saying that. It doesn't matter. Packers played like shit too. What I'm trying to say is that wasn't exactly a quality win. But the point is, the way you look versus the Packers, the way that you looked in those first 4 games is not the way that the Eagles look now.
Absolutely.
Because the Eagles' defense, Mark, specifically, the Eagles' defense looks better. Whether they look like what you think they should look like or not is a different story, but the Eagles' defense looks better right now, and they actually look somewhat competent. And if that's the way that the defense is going to play, and you guys are going to have all those weapons on offense, then it is a different team.
Well, here's the thing, man. This is what I'm going to say honestly about the Eagles right now. You should, you and every other fan of NFL, and especially fans of the Eagles, right now we're riding a high, feeling a wave of passion and joy around the Eagles' current standings. But I would say be cautiously optimistic. I know I said this last week, and I'm going to continue to say it, but be cautiously optimistic. Lower your expectations, if you will, because here's some things that you should note. You know, the Eagles have yet to score in the first quarter. They have yet to be successful on the first drive. In fact, their first 2 drives are failures through 7 games.
Yeah.
In 7 games, their first 2 drives have been failures, and they have yet to score in the first quarter. That has not happened in a way where the team is actually a successful team. We are the first, like right now we're 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
Last time that happened, like I think it happened to I heard the stats earlier, like happened to the Detroit Lions, some other teams or whatever, but they ended their season 5-11. All these lopsided numbers. And currently, the Eagles are beating the odds despite how terrible we are in the first quarter. If that doesn't get figured out, it's going to end up biting us in the butt. And part of the reason why it's not biting us in the butt right now, it goes to my second point. The quality of opponent. Like, we can be happy that the Eagles are doing things that they need to be doing right now. Like, the defense looks better. The defense is getting pressure, getting sacks. The defense is getting the opposing team's offense off the field. But let's look at our last 3 opponents that we're all championing. They were all under 500 before we even played them. All 3 of them. They were already under 500 before we even played them. So you gotta look at that. We played the Watson-led Browns. So
they're not the same.
Deshaun Watson-led Browns, and that wasn't a super convincing win. And we played them straight out of the bye, and that wasn't a super convincing win. I'm actually, in the back of my mind, I'm fearful that if we had played the Jameis Winston-led Browns, we probably would have lost that game.
I'm going to tell you, not only would you have lost that game, you would have lost that game by like 10 points. You guys barely beat the Deshaun Watson one. Look, Deshaun Watson was a bottom 3 quarterback in the league. Bottom 3 quarterback in the league, and y'all barely beat them. Jameis Winston would have played. Y'all would have lost by 2 scores. It's 10 points, whatever. I honestly believe you would have lost and you wouldn't have had a chance. And that's saying a lot for that game. Because I think your team is better than that game. But you're right. You won the game, but it was a bad game for you.
Right. Like, we won the game 20-16.
Crazy.
Like, come on. Now, secondly, the next game, New York Giants. Now, we beat the dog crap out of the New York Giants. Beat the dog crap out of them. But that's what you're supposed to do. It's the New York Giants. It's the Daniel Jones New York Giants. Like, that dude is abysmal. That dude is awful. He's not good. Like, I'm just going to pull it up. Daniel Jones team, and the week before that, they scored 7 points against the Bengals. The Bengals defense is trash, and they could only muster 7 points against the Bengals.
The Bengals defense is the bottom of the barrel. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's terrible.
And they could only muster 7 points against the Bengals?
Hey, Mark, they was firing on all cylinders getting after him, which says a lot. It says a lot about the quality of your offensive line play and all of that. It shows you about he's obviously not back there making good decisions. Yeah, they're terrible.
Right. Now, Daniel Jones against Pittsburgh, the game after hours, they lost 26-18. Now, Daniel Jones
played good.
Yeah, huh?
He actually did good in that game. I'm just putting it out.
I mean, he played better. He was 24 for 38, 264 yards, no touchdown. He took 4 sacks and threw an interception. Like,
that's Mark. That's good for Daniel Jones. You tell me he threw for 260 yards against the Steelers defense and only have 1 turnover?
Yeah.
Once again, I mean, fine. He played good, but I'm not saying for a franchise quarterback. He played good for Daniel Jones standards.
Fair
enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So
you can't expect them to play better than that versus the Steelers defense, right?
No, I don't. But real quick, this is the only thing I'm going to talk about that particular game. How about George Pickens off the top rope, huh? How about that? Did you see the play?
Yeah, I did see the play. That's wild.
Yo, it looked like that boy was doing the Hulk Hogan finishing move, bro.
Hey, Mark, I'm gonna tell you what that's a sign of. That's a sign that man's about to have a great rest of the season. We know what the season looked like when Antonio Brown Spartan kicked the kicker in the face. We know what type of year he had that season. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if I'm a Steelers fan and I seen that, I'd be like, yo, look, man, Pickens is lit for the rest of the season. It's good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So, like, when it comes to the Giants game, you have to lower that. So there goes another one where
hey, look. So I'll read this one. He said, you can tell Sports. Troy says, you can tell Washington got a winning record. I've never seen Sharice in the chat this much. You absolutely right. She don't be in the chat this much. But you know what?
Like that, real quick, and get back on point. Sharice doesn't even know. Like she hit up Sean talking about, yeah, y'all better put some respect on my team's name. And we're like, dog, what are you talking about? We've only been singing their praises this entire time. Thanks for letting us know that you don't watch us. Because if you watch us, you would know that we've been singing their praises this entire season. But all right.
Yeah. Well, let me add one more note to that, Mark. Because she tried to throw you under, but maybe it wasn't you, but it was Mark. He made a RG3 reference. I was like, first off, the RG3 reference, I told her, I was like, the RG3 reference he made was only purely because I was like, yo, when was the last time you guys drafted a quarterback in the first round that showed up, started right away, and did well. I was like, his RG3 reference was because he's playing good and he's a rookie. He didn't make any other comparisons to RG3. Because she was like, he said he's seen this before, RG3. Yes, a rookie quarterback coming in, drafted in the first round, playing well and leading you guys to victories. That was the reference. It wasn't even a negative reference. So yes, she clearly wasn't watching anything, Mark. But she can sit here and say not true all she wants, Mark. We know what's going on here. When a complete stranger to Sharice, right? We don't know Sharice. When a complete stranger comes in and say, "Man, I ain't seen her in here this much." Come on, bro. You know what's going on. Troy's here every week.
Yeah. So, but back to the point, right? The Eagles now, the game 3, they go up against the Bengals. Like I said, the Bengals is another under 500 team, but the Eagles do what they supposed to do. They take care of business. 37-17. Now, everybody put a lot on the name of, well, Joe Burrow. He's the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow. This is a big deal. Jalen Hurts can outperform Joe Burrow. Well, I thought that was ridiculous the whole time. The media narrative of Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow, like Jalen Hurts has to outperform Joe Burrow. Hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but let me school you. Jalen Hurts has outperformed Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts has outperformed Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. Jalen Hurts outperformed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Like, don't play with me. Like, don't play with Jalen Hurts. Like he's going up against some God beater team. Like, this isn't what's happening here. Like, and Joe Burrow and these Bengals right now, before they played us, were 3-4. They were already under 500.
Thank you. People need to look at before they make comments like that. They need to look at the landscape of the NFL. Baker Mayfield is outplaying all these guys.
Right.
Let's stop right there. Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff are outplaying damn near every quarterback in the NFL right now. What are we talking about, right? Let's not. Patrick Mahomes has some of the worst stats of any starting quarterback right now. Let's not Joe Burrow isn't doing anything great this season. Everybody relax.
Right. Here's another side of it. Here's the other side of it. Bengals defense isn't good.
Trash.
Bengals defense isn't good. So the Eagles should be able to perform against the Bengals defense because they haven't been good this season. And the offense has been up and down. And guess what? Guess who they didn't have when they played the Eagles? They didn't have T. Higgins, which is a big effing deal.
Especially since they no longer have Tyler Boyd. It's a huge deal.
So the fact that we were able to go out there and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, fantastic, because like I said, you only can beat the opponent that is in front of you. Like, that is your job, is to play the opponent in front of you and play them to your best ability. So, yes, be happy about the win, but don't say, oh, we turned some major, massive corner. Don't say that just yet, because you have to look at the teams that we played and just bring it down a bit and be like, all right, I'm glad we got the win. We're doing some promising things. We're doing some really good things. But let's just be cautiously optimistic about it, all right? Like, and this is what I'm talking about, just very quickly. Cincinnati Bengals, points allowed per game, 25.4. They are 23rd in the league. They are in the bottom half of the league when it comes to points allowed per game. When it comes to time of possession per game, they are 18th. They are in the bottom half. When it comes to the rushing yards per game, they are 28th. 28th. That's horrible.
Not good.
Like, so come on, man. Like, there are things that the Bengals are struggling with. So be happy we got the win. enjoy the win. But just lower your expectation, lower the enthusiasm just a bit. But with that being said, the Eagles are the only team to go an entire month of football without a turnover. Talk to him.
That's an amazing stat, Mark. I did not know that, and I'll tell you this. That's a valid stat. It's not there's no way that you can sit here and tell me that stat is it's a bullshit stat. Like, you're not turning the ball over. That probably plays a huge part in the amount of wins that you guys have gotten, right? So the way I see it is, like, you can brag about that. You can brag about your team not having any turnover. For a month, that's insanity. People can't even go 2 games without a turnover, Mark. So, yes, this is what I'll say. Sometimes in order for you to beat a team that's better than you, all it takes is for you to not turn the ball over.
Right.
And let's be honest. If you want to turn the ball over, you need an elite defense. You guys don't have that, and that's fine. What you have is a solid offense, and you have an offense that doesn't turn the ball over. So
you got to relax, sir, because we may not have a great defensive scheme, but we got great defensive players. We put the strap on Ja'Marr Chase.
You have, while you're saying that, Mark, because I don't want to give you the satisfaction of whatever the fuck it is that you're doing right now. What I will say is this. Mitchell is the reason why you guys are able to strap receivers, okay? We're not giving that all to the defense. We're not saying that the defensive coordinator is the reason for that. Mitchell has been strapping everybody this season. Have you seen his stats against him?
Yeah.
He's having a Darrelle Revis-like season right now, and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, well, because it doesn't have the interceptions. He has dropped.
It doesn't matter.
He has dropped at least 5 interceptions this season. Like, hit them and drop them.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. But with the way that he's strapping everybody this year, Mark, you can live with that.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
you
but now,
live with that. Yeah.
But Isaiah Rodgers on the go route to Ja'Marr Chase, he strapped him up. Said, "Where you going, boy? Watch me volleyball tip this to my man. Watch me
Mark,
go ahead and tip this to my man, CJ." CJ was like, "Oh, thank you, brother."
Mark. I have a question for you, because this is part of your. Remember, I said your defense is playing good, right? And I think these guys will play well against anybody. When I'm talking about your secondary, so I understand the quality of opponents that they're playing, but I'm still saying that I believe that your defense is better, right? Is this, because in my estimation it is, but is this the best secondary that you guys had in about 5 years?
Best secondary, best players, like the best players. Now, for me personally, the defensive scheme still leaves a lot to be desired, but the players themselves.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. The players and their capabilities and all that, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, I think this is the best. Like, I've seen years. I remember when you guys went and got Ronald Darby and all these things. I remember years where you're just like, dog, we got Slay and that's it, or we got this person and that's it. I feel like this is the first time you can look around and say, we got guys. We got guys, right? And I think my favorite secondary is the Sheldon Brown, Richardson, and B-Dog secondary. I only went back 5 years. I didn't want to jump out the window and say this is the best secondary that you've had since then, because when you guys had Cromartie, not Cromartie,
Asante Samuel.
to me, this secondary isn't as good as that secondary. And to me, like I said, so I didn't want to say since 20 years or anything like that. But yes, I would say, I said 5 years, but you can probably go back like 12 years, right? But it's a good thing that you guys got going right now. And if I was the Eagles fan, I would have at least some type of hope to say that at least our secondary can cover guys.
Now, here's the thing, like real quick, and we're going to get out of here from the Eagles talk. They said that, absolutely underrated Eagle.
Underrated Eagle, underrated cornerback. I feel like he should be a Hall of Famer.
Yes,
Continue.
absolutely.
Continue.
But what they were saying, real quick, they asked Isaiah Rodgers about that play where he tipped it to CJ, and they was like, was that luck? Did you know he was there or whatever? He said, preparation. He said, I know on this play that when they lined him up, I knew what he was about to do, and I knew that where CJ was going to be. So when I hit the ball, I hit it in the direction of CJ.
Hey, that's what you want to hear as a fan. Preparation, boy. You can't look. Skills, talent, that only gets you so far. Preparation is what gets you over the mountaintop. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Isaiah Rodgers, man.
Right. So yeah, like I said, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and leave to talk about the Eagles. Is there any other Week 8 recaps before we get into the next little tidbit thing?
I mean, I don't think so, Mark, because what I got to say, the next little tidbit that I got to say when we get to the next part, it's gonna jump off right with the topic that I would be speaking about as far as interesting games. So
okay. All right. So real quick, before we get into the NFL Power Rankings, I want to talk about the trade moves and the returns that the teams got for them, or should I say diminishing returns that the teams got for them in this week.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I say diminishing returns is because 3 different receivers moved around, right? You had, and like, we're talking about major, massive names in Amari Cooper, Davante Adams, and DeAndre Hopkins. All on different teams now. But what were you about to say?
I was going to say, at one point, not too long ago, you would say Davante Adams and DeAndre Hopkins were 1 and 2.
Right.
This is a big deal.
Right. So massive deal, right?
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Yes, all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. I don't think you could put 5 receptions together for all 3 in this past week. Like, quiet. Pin drop quiet.
Whispers in Kansas City. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Now, mind you, they said that they were going to limit the snap count of DeAndre Hopkins. I do remember reading that prior to the game that they were going to limit the snap count for DeAndre Hopkins. I did not look up the snap count to see if that was in fact true. Was the snap count limited? But they did acquire him fairly late, so that is understandable. They acquired him. I don't think he got to the team until Wednesday or like Thursday. So that's understandable for his part. But when it comes to Amari Cooper and Davante Adams, this is their second week with their respective teams. Amari Cooper has been, and they both supposedly have great quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen still played well for the Bills, so there's that. But then Davante Adams supposedly has one of the greatest of greats. Surely he is going to be a first round Hall of Fame ballot guy. You know what I mean? First ballot Hall of Fame. and couldn't do nothing. And I find it interesting that Davante Adams, they lost that very first week Davante Adams was there, and Davante Adams is giving a team speech. Like, dog, you are brand new to this team. How are you giving a team speech when nobody know you here? The only person that know you is Aaron Rodgers. Like, what is you doing?
All right. Let me cook real quick, Mark. Let me cook real quick, man. Let me talk about it. Because this is the thing about the Davante Adams situation, man. I had a problem, and I feel like it's finally coming to a head now. I never thought anything negative of Davante Adams until the moment that man said, I want to go play with Derek Carr. He was very specific of where he said he didn't want to go nowhere else except for the Raiders because he wanted to play with Derek Carr. But he didn't leave it there, Mark. He said Derek Carr is one of the best quarterbacks that he's ever played with in his entire life. Granted, so you're not counting you're obviously counting high school where you didn't have Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. But the way that he was talking about Derek Carr in that moment was as if he was close to or equal to Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, man, I get it. That's your boy, but you're doing too much, all right? He wasn't even, not to say, I mean, he got his money, but he wasn't even concerned about the money that much. He just wanted to play with Derek Carr. He got what he asked for. Derek Carr got moved. I understand. Now he was out there suffering in Las Vegas. I get it. You said we watched the receiver. He was suffering. Okay, we saw it live. Now, you would think he would learn something from that situation, and what he says is, I want to go. Like, he made it clear that he wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers. Now he goes to play with Aaron Rodgers, and he's mad about all of the other parts of the team outside of Aaron Rodgers. You knew the Jets were the Jets. Right. You knew the Raiders were the Raiders. Like, I don't understand what you want at this point from teams. You show up to the Jets, they do what they do. I saw his rant. He said, hey, man, you know, Breece Hall just got a 65-yard run or 60-yard run, and nobody celebrated the run on the sideline. Yes, at my core, Mark, I have a problem with that culture with the team, right? But they're just so used to losing, right? But you knew that. You knew that going in. You can't be mad at the Jets for being the Jets. Like, I don't want to hear you say anything. And it's not that he just gave a speech, Mark. He did it at the podium post-game conference. Post-game press conference. So you're publicly downing your team. All I'm going to say is it's already probably bad enough that Rodgers is calling everybody out publicly. I don't even want to know what Rodgers is saying to them boys privately. And then you show up and then you're doing that. You already have one cancer in the locker room in Aaron Rodgers. And then you're showing up and saying, I'm with him. So now Davante Adams is making me not like him. It's making me think that he's part of the problem. All right? So I'm with you, Mark. You can't show up and be the new guy, not do nothing in the game. All right? It's not like you went out there and had an amazing game. You can't show up, be the new guy. The only relationship that you have is with Aaron Rodgers, and then be like, yeah, y'all want some bullshit. Who are you? We was winning games until we fired the coach and brought you on. That's what I would say. But yes, so I just wanted to say that real quick. Like, Davante Adams is slowly ruining his legacy at this point.
I mean, I just had a thought, man. Maybe the team needs to collectively bring in their pillowcases and have a bar dial soap ready. And, you know, just do a Full Metal Jacket reenactment with Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say the movie name. I was going to say, look, if you know the reference, you know what we're talking about. But look, man, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe they need to just do a reenactment with Aaron Rodgers with some dial soap and pillowcases, you know?
Did you order a Code Red? You goddamn right I ordered a Code Red. Hey, look, and I'll do it again. Like, look, man. it's a terrible situation over there. Now, to speak to the situation with Amari Cooper, look, man, week 1 can't be better than week 2, man. You can't be invisible week 2. You can't get 1 catch for 3 yards in week 2. I don't care. Look, I saw an article. It said, well, they were up by 17 in the third quarter. What about the first 2 quarters?
Nope, not trying to hear that.
What about the first 2 quarters?
Not trying to hear that at
all. I'm not trying to hear that shit either, man. Look, I don't know whether to blame Amari Cooper or Josh Allen, but you know how I feel about Josh Allen. So I think it's a combination of both, but honestly, it's probably more on Josh Allen. It's probably more on the offensive coordinator. We already don't know what the hell on the offensive play calling they're doing over there in Buffalo, because it seems like they're just letting Josh Allen do whatever the hell he wants to do. So I can't really put that on Amari, but come on, man. Don't go and get the guy and then not throw him.
Right.
I have no problems with what the Chiefs did.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Okay. All right, man. Well, are you ready for your second leading segment, sir?
I'm ready, man. We doing the power rankings now?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Time for you to share your thoughts with the world. Let them know how you feel.
Oh.
All right. So, hold on. I'm just gonna.
What do you got?
Hold up.
I don't have my power rankings up. Do you want me to share that?
Yeah.
It's just on a little Excel sheet. It's nothing crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, then you don't have to share it if it's not visually appealing.
It's not visually appealing, but I can go down the list for you, Mark. All right.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna need you to work on that visual appealing part.
I do need to work on that, Mark, and I will get to that. And I will let you guys know that I will update these power rankings weekly from here on out. Now,
I'm pulling my best Aaron Rodgers impression. I'm going to publicly destroy you so everybody can see.
So I'm Robert Saleh now. Okay, cool. Hey, guess what? I will just kick my feet up like Robert Saleh been doing. You know that man been helping out the Packers. They got him assigned as an advisor to the Packers. Hey, I feel like that's just to spite Aaron Rodgers, but that's neither here nor there, right? He's an offensive advisor. He's literally over there making the offense better for the Packers by giving him defensive input. It's crazy.
It looks like you lost another.
Anyway, Packers have won with the backup quarterback, by the way. So real quick, when we get these power rankings off the bat, Mark, I'm about to just blow this whole thing up right now. Maybe for some people they'll agree, but I feel like some people will disagree. Hey, look. Number 1, Mark. The Lions. I got the Lions as the number 1 team in the power rankings. Okay? I am going to start off with the number 1 team. I'm going to go down to 32 and work my way up. But I just wanted to get the Lions thing out of the way first and foremost. Right now, the way that the Lions are playing, because beyond what they're doing on offense, Mark, because it feels like what they're doing on offense right now is so outrageous that people are not paying attention to what the defense is doing. I've seen a team like this before, Mark, and the last time I've seen a team that looked like this and getting the victories, the type of victories that they've been getting, the last time I saw a team like this, it was the 15-1 Carolina Panthers. All of their victories were blowouts. Their defense was shutting people down, but the part of the reason why the defense was shutting people down was because they're getting behind so quickly and so early in the game, and they knew how potent the offense was being and capitalizing on turnovers from the defense, that they're just like, look, once you get behind early, it's like, yo, we got to air it out. We got to do all these things. We got to play riskier. And it seems to me that for the Panthers in that year, it was more defensive driven. This year, it's more offensive driven, and the defense is capitalizing, so it's a little flip flop. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Going down by 2 scores versus the Lions is totally different than going down 2 scores versus everybody else. Okay, and I think that plays in. That's helping the Lions defense play better. So right now, there is not a team that exists in the league that I think the Lions can. That's why they are number 1. All right, let me drop to the bottom because I got to go from the bottom, Mark. If you have any disputes, Mark, you let me know. Panthers, 32. Titans, 31. Jaguars, 30. Patriots, 29. Raiders, 28. Giants at 27.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
I mean, I do, but it's the bottom team, so I don't really care. But I would definitely put the Giants beneath the Jaguars. But
the only reason why the Giants are above the Jaguars is because the Giants actually play defense, and that keeps them in some of these games that they don't belong in.
Fair enough.
And I feel like the Jaguars dropped the ball on both sides of the ball.
Well, I don't want to hold you up, but
that's fine. But this is what I want. I want you to speak up. So Jets at 26, Dolphins at 25, Browns at 24. They're probably going to move up. To be honest with you, they with Jameis Winston at the helm, they're probably going to move up. Bengals at 23, Saints at 22. Cowboys at 21. Cowboys are liable to fall. Right now,
they're liable to fall or rise.
Or rise. They're just
to be completely honest.
Yeah, they're volatile right now. They have a better team. They are the best team out of the bad teams. As far as players, roster, all that stuff, etc. I have the Colts at 20, Rams at 19, Bears at 18. I wanted to put the Rams above the Bears. They probably will end up there next week. Cardinals at 17, Seahawks at 16, Chargers at 15, 49ers at 14, Bucks at 13, Broncos at 12, Falcons at 11, Texans at 10, Eagles at 9. Eagles are liable to move up. Depending on what happens with the rest of these teams. I have the Vikings at 8, Bills at 7, Steelers at 6, Packers at 5, Commanders at 4, Ravens at 3, Chiefs at 2, and like I said, Lions at 1. Sounds pretty solid.
You said you have the Lions out. Can you recap the top 5 again? I'm sorry.
Top 5. Lions at 1, Chiefs at 2, Ravens at 3, Commanders at 4, Packers at 5.
Lions at 1, Chiefs at 2, Ravens at 3.
Ravens at 3, Commanders at 4, Packers at 5. Steelers are at 6, just looking in. I don't feel like any of the rest of the teams have a chance of cracking the top 5 except for the Steelers. Steelers defense is just too good and their offense is starting to get going. Everybody else has too many other issues going on.
All right, so, listen, I'm going to say this. I would definitely put the Ravens above
the Chiefs.
Shit. Well, that's really hard because as bad as Patrick Mahomes has been offensively, the Ravens defense has almost been just as bad as Patrick Mahomes has been on offense.
Yes.
So, and the Chiefs defense has been just as good as the Ravens offense. And the thing is, the Chiefs defense, if they were to go head to head, more than likely they're slowing down Derrick Henry. 9 times out of 10, or I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, I would say 7 times out of 10, they would get the better of Derrick Henry. That Chiefs defense would get the better of Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And if they get the better of Derrick Henry, then the Ravens are going to fall. So I'm okay with it. I think it's just that is really close.
It's really close, Mark, and I'm going to explain to you how I came to that decision. How I came to that decision was two factors:
It looks like you lost another one.
consistency and willingness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Chiefs are willing to play any style of football, no matter how ugly it is, in order to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens, I'm not sure if they have that same willingness when it comes to running Derrick Henry. They ran Derrick Henry 11 times, lost to the Browns. Okay? I don't know if they have the willingness to do it.
Right.
Not fully committed to it, Mark. And then consistency. If they were to consistently, if they were willing to and consistent when it came to running Derrick Henry, then the Ravens would be above the Chiefs. For me, that's right. But right now, I don't see that. So I think both of those things said, it comes down to coaching, and that's the difference maker between the Chiefs being number 2 and the Ravens being number 3. It's coaching on both sides of the ball, meaning head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. The Chiefs just have a better coaching staff. There's no reason why the Ravens shouldn't be number 2 or number 1, Mark. But that is the reason why they're not.
Right.
So yes, you kind of I just watched you go through the same thought process that I did. So, yep.
Yeah. So it is what it is. But outside of that, there might be. I know Troy said, "Oh heck."
I want to know what Troy.
I'm curious as to what his issues are, but by and large, I don't hate it.
He might have a problem with the Eagles being below the Vikings and the Bills. I think that can change. The Bills are inconsistent. Vikings are looking terrible right now, but they were so high up that they just have to fall there, right? So if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, Vikings would have been number 2.
Right.
So it's just a situation to where they were so high up that it's taking them a little bit to fall. I got to see them continue to fail for them to fall.
Fair.
Fair enough, right?
This is all fair. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Sean's power rankings. And yeah, man. Excellent analysis. I like it.
It doesn't sound right, but here's the question for you then, Troy. Do you feel confident that they can beat these teams? Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Commanders, Packers, Steelers, Bills, Vikings. Do you feel confident saying, "Hey, we're going to go in there and we can just beat them"? That's the part of it that I don't feel 1,000% confident. That even though the Vikings are reeling right now, they're kind of spiraling down. I still feel like I can't definitively say that the Eagles would be able to beat them. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like it's very close between the Eagles, Bills, and Vikings. Eagles could be 7. So I said that when I mentioned them at 9. So.
All right. Well, real quick, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see what what Fox Sports has for their power rankings. And we can go ahead and compare it a little bit to yours.
Yeah.
So
I'll try to be quick with my comments with comparisons.
So let me just get to that there.
Yeah, should be interesting.
All right. Yeah. All right. Here's the transition. All right. Let me move us. I'm gonna just move us to the right here, just so we're out the way of the power rankings themselves. All right. So everybody should be able to see that. Now, with the way they have Chiefs at the top, Lions at number 2.
Real quick, Chiefs have been lights out. They're undefeated. I understand it. If the Chiefs played the Lions today, Mark, I have the Lions winning. That's the only team in the league that I believe will beat the Chiefs right now. And I can't. And with that said, I can't put the Chiefs over.
Very quickly, where do you have Houston?
Ooh, I have the Texans at. So it's very close there. I have the Texans at 10.
Okay. So because, I'm like that feels really high to me. I think at this point the Steelers are definitely better than Houston.
I have the Steelers above. I have the Steelers at 6. So they're definitely.
Oh, okay. You're definitely tripping with the Steelers at 6.
Do you think the Steelers are better than the Bills?
No.
I think they are. I think they're playing more consistently than the Bills.
I think their defense may be, but offensively, Bills play good enough defense that they would stop anything that the Steelers would try to do offensively. And then when it comes to, at least as of right now, because their offense isn't flowing and isn't consistent.
I have a question. Do you know how many turnovers the Steelers QBs have on the season? One. They have one. They have one interception between the QBs, the Steelers on the QBs.
But they also don't have a lot of red zone trips. They also have a lot of failed red zone trips. Like, just because they're not turning the ball over doesn't mean they're very successful at score.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is that they protect the ball, number one, and they have a great defense. Their defense is better than the Bills' defense. Mm-hmm. And not only do they do that well as far as protecting the ball and playing great defense, but they have a run game that they're not afraid to use. Is their running game better than the Bills? No, but the Bills just refuse to run the ball. I understand James Cook got hurt recently, but it didn't matter. They weren't running him the way that they should have every game. So once again, coaching willingness to play a specific brand of football matters. And I think if the Bills were to play the Steelers actually have a secondary that could take advantage of Josh Allen's recklessness. I believe that the Steelers are better than the Bills. And just so you know, I have the Bills at 7 and the Steelers at 6. They're close.
All right.
I'm not expecting the Bills. I just don't have them at 3.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what else to say to that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to explain my thought process, sir. I'm looking here. So that's probably one of the biggest differences is how high they have the Bills. Everything else in the top 10 kind of looks similar. Everything's close, right? I'm trying to see if there's anything else. The Bears. That's another glaring difference. They have the Bears at 13, Mark. What do you think about that? Bears at 13. I have the Bears at 18.
I think that's nuts. The Bears aren't good. Their defense is good, but offensively they're bad.
Yeah, they're offensively, statistically, they're bottom. They're probably bottom 3 to bottom 5. Right? So they have. I had this discussion with Sharice. She was talking about how Washington defense looked versus Chicago. I said the man had a game where he didn't throw 100 yards. And then he had 2 more games where he threw for like 130 and 140. And if you look in those games and you look at the running stats, it wasn't like they ran for 200 yards. So we're talking about one of the bottom offenses in the league. They have one of the top defenses in the league. I have them closer to the middle of the pack. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a glaring difference. I just looked at the Bears at 13 and I said that's absolutely insane. I don't think the Bears beat the Seahawks. I don't think the Bears beat the Chargers. Those are 2 teams that they're right above. I don't think the Bears beat the Bucks. like there's a few teams that I just don't think they can beat, you know. But I'm looking, trying to see if I see anything else. They have the Saints at 27. I have the Saints at 22. But maybe that's because they have the Cowboys. No, the Cowboys. We both have the Cowboys at 21. I'm trying to figure out how they have. I think they got the Bengals at 20. Yeah, I don't know. They're pooping on somebody here, and I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Well,
but yes, for the most part, I think we covered the big ones. The big ones that they had. They had the Raiders at 23. That's what it is. They got the Raiders at 23 also. I have the Raiders at 28.
I do not think the Packers are number 4 good, but the Packers are great. They've been able to win with their backup, with their starter, and their defense has been playing great football.
This is what I'll say. That is why the Packers are that good. They have them at 4. I had them at 5. The Packers defense is quietly one of the best defenses in the league. And if you have the ability to be an explosive offense, because let's be honest, they're not exactly consistent offensively either. But their offense is capable of, they could give you a 17-point game, a 20-point game, but they could give you a 35-point game. They have that capability, and that means something. And like you said, they've won with a backup. They've won with Jordan Love being out. You know what I'm saying? So
my only issue with you having them that high and Fox Sports having them where they have them is that you can't have them at 4 and have the Eagles at 9.
Yes. So and that's a fair argument, and I understand that argument. Now,
like if you wanted to have them at 4 and have the Eagles at 6, I can somewhat understand that, even though I would say the Eagles should be above them. But you can't have them separated by 5 to 6 spots and the Eagles beat them.
Yes,
and they have the same record and the Eagles beat them. You can't have that.
Yeah. See, for me, I don't look at record per se. Record is part of it, but I don't look at the record directly. I look at quality wins. I want to see if their performances, the eye test, right? And then when it comes to head, that also doesn't matter to me. If I thought the Commanders were a better team than the Ravens, it wouldn't have mattered to me that the Ravens that the Ravens beat the Commanders. It wouldn't have mattered. But the Commanders just don't have a better team. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the part that it should matter when it comes to the head-to-head, because the head-to-head is informative of the power ranking, particularly having them in the power ranking. That means if they were to meet in the playoffs or meet down the line, this team should be able to beat this team.
Well,
the Packers have already proven that they cannot beat the Eagles. The Eagles at that time, considering, were playing the worst football that they have been all season.
Okay.
And now they're playing better football, and they already beat them when they were bad.
Okay. So let me put it this way. The way I see it is this: so we have a current snapshot, okay, and that's what the power rankings are. It changes every week, right? If you would have asked me weeks ago, I would have said maybe the Eagles are better, but it changes week to week. Right now, these are a couple of things that I look at because I brought up their schedule. Okay, and I'm gonna say this really quickly. The Packers, without Jordan Love, threw for 200 yards, 202 yards, 1 touchdown versus the Titans. Mm-hmm. Right now, the Titans either have the number 1 or number 2 pass defense in the NFL. They're trash everywhere else except for against the pass. With a backup quarterback, they went 13 of 19 passing, 200 yards, 1 touchdown. They beat them 30-14, and mostly through the air. Okay, that's something they did do damage on the ground. Don't get it fucked up. They did a lot of damage on the ground, but them still being able to move the ball through the air efficiently, not throwing any picks. Remember, they do have Ladarius Sneed over there. What they were able to do through the air, that means something to me with a backup quarterback. That is a very high quality win. And then and at the time when they played the Vikings were undefeated. They lost to them on the last possession, 31-29. They played them the closest out of any team that played them at that time when they were destroying everybody. Those were 2 games that, to me, kind of shaped that. The Texans have been solid in winning games somehow. They beat the Texans, okay? It's not the Eagles' fault when it comes to quality of opponents, is what I'll say. So, but the gap between what I have is the Packers, Steelers, Bills, Vikings, and Eagles is a very small gap. Right now, I can tell you if I see a bad performance from the Bills, okay, I'm not even gonna say the Bills. If I see a bad performance from the Vikings, they could drop to 12.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I see a bad performance from the Packers and a good performance from the Eagles could be 5 and the Packers could be 7. They are close. All of those teams are close. The only thing that each one of these teams are missing is consistency on one or the other side of the ball.
Okay.
Packers are inconsistent offensively. I have questions about the Eagles' defense.
Fair enough. I think the disparity between them is
I think visually it looks worse. Visually, it looks worse than it is.
But I'm not going to continue the debate.
You know.
But yeah, man, those are the power rankings, and they putting smut on our name, disrespecting us.
That's crazy. Y'all are 9. That's putting smut on your name. That's crazy. Disrespect and smut. Okay.
Putting smut on our name. I don't like it. Where's my banana at? I don't like that shit.
You don't like that shit? Okay. All right.
I don't like that shit at all.
My team is 14th.
I need my banana and my glasses.
And we wouldn't even be 14th if it wasn't for so many other bad teams.
It looks like you lost another one.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys kind of suck right now, so
we do. I'm not. What do you want me to say? Hey, this is the lowest we've probably ever been ranked in anybody's power rankings in the Kyle Shanahan era, outside of the year that Jimmy G and Debo and Kittle were all hurt at the same time. So,
all right. So next up, Sean, I'm gonna let you. We don't have a banner for this, and I don't really have a way of segueing into it, except for.
Just bring up the graphic. Bring up the graphic. Just bring it up.
A lot of players they have issues, and they want to talk about. A lot of people have issues with Anthony Richardson right now, man. They're not feeling buddy. They said, "Nah, man, you not squad." Chase Daniel said, "We don't respect your kind over here. What you doing and what we did in the past, that ain't it." I don't know, Sean. How you feel about your boy Anthony Richardson, man? I don't know.
In this time, you're actually right. It's not disrespect you calling him my boy. You know what I'm saying? He is a Florida Gator. Shout out to the Florida Gators. I did have the opportunity to watch a lot of his games in college, man. Just for people that don't know, he played like a half a season. He played a half a season in his sophomore year, and he played a full season junior year. Yeah, man. How do I feel about him? I feel like it sucks, man. It's a love-hate situation. I was rooting for him to do well. I thought he ended up in a situation, coaching staff wise, where he should have been able to succeed with Shane Steichen as you know, the offensive mind over there with the Colts. And I feel like I wasn't the only person that felt that way. Mark, I feel like you agreed with me. You saw what he did what he was able to do with Jalen Hurts, and I believe I wasn't the only person. They're like, you know what? He's got the right coach. He's got some weapons over there. He has a running game. He has Jonathan Taylor. Like, they can protect him in that way to not have him pass the ball 50 times a game. So my overall feeling is disappointment. You see this stat right here. It's kind of fine print. You guys probably can't see it as well as we can, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
Well, they should be able to see it pretty well if they.
Oh, okay. I don't know how big the screen is, right? So yeah. It says the worst single season completion percentage since 2014 at a minimum of 125 attempts. You have Anthony Richardson at 44%, Drew Stanton at 97%, Jalen Hurts at 52%, Josh Allen 52%. I mean, we could go down the list, but I'll tell you this: if you go back even further, you will add J.P. Lossman, okay, at 49%, and you would add Tim Tebow at 46%, okay? So you can even go back further than 2014, and essentially, he's just the worst. It doesn't matter how far you go back, unless you start going.
You're the worst.
You're the worst. It's the worst. I mean, it is what it is, right? So, and I feel like a lot of this is on him, Mark. I saw a comment from Dan Orlovsky saying that his film looks better than his stats significantly.
That's great.
Getting a cosign from Dan Orlovsky does nothing for your cause. Just throw it out there. Absolutely nothing.
For no one.
Absolutely nothing. But I will quote RG3. RG3, known as the person that is the most positive when it comes to young players, especially when it comes to young quarterbacks in the developmental stages. He said that the Colts made the decision that they needed to make in benching him. The decision that they needed to make to make sure that they could preserve essentially the sanctity of the team. We have standards, and you're not living up to the standards. And the only way that we can uphold that or uphold those standards and make sure that the locker room isn't lost is to make sure that he gets benched for his actions. And if those of you guys don't know what happened, they were on a critical drive in the game, and they were already past the 50-yard line and all of that. And Anthony Richardson tapped his helmet. You play football, you know what that means. Hey, sub me out, coach. Tapped his helmet and got subbed out because some people thought he was injured. There was a lot of speculation. Post-game conference, he's just like, "No, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes you should lie." But he says, "I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was just tired. I was gassed." Okay? So, Mark, what that says to me is a lot of things. It says, number one, his injuries that are 99.9% caused by him in the style of play, and him not sliding, and him not avoiding contact, and him wanting to run through people and lower his shoulder and do all this stuff. The same type of playing style that had him mess up his shoulder in his rookie season, and now is already led. He got injured 3 times in 5 games last season. Okay, Third one led to him missing the rest of the season. This year, he's already sustained 2 injuries in the last 8 weeks. Okay, now he's that's part of the problem, the way you're playing, and then you're saying you're gassed. Maybe it has something to do with you not being able to get conditioning because you're always hurt, right? So now, for somebody to be a physical specimen, a pure athlete like you, and then you're getting winded on a game, potential like game tying or important drive, tapping your helmet. So not only are you out of shape, but some people would put into question whether or not you got the heart to push through it and say, I could be dog tired. So you know what? We'll just take a little bit longer in the huddle. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got that. You know what I'm saying? So your heart wasn't in question before. Now your heart's in question as well as your conditioning. Your play style has always been in question. Okay? And what I see is a guy who throughout college, and I'm just giving you rough estimates as a fan, but I believe his completion percentage was somewhere around 56 during his college career, which is not good, especially in college. You know what I'm saying? His play style looks exactly the same as college. Whatever scripted play we have, I can't do that. I'm going to improvise everything. Matter of fact, but don't let somebody get a hair open downfield. He probably throws one of the best deep balls that I've ever seen. Pinpoint accuracy. Ask him to throw a 10-yard pass. See how accurate he is. He can't do it, man. He has the same problem that Cam Newton had. Cam Newton threw everything high to the point to where they just said, we're just gonna draft a bunch of 6'4" receivers. Right? They said, we're going to find you a tight end that's tall. We're going to find you a receiver that's tall. We're going to do all these things because you just can't stop from throwing balls too high. That's what Anthony Richardson does. If you watch all of his missed passes from this past week, all of them are high passes. The guys that are 10, 15 yards down the field. Okay?
Well, you know what's funny? I have a question for you here in a second. I'm just pulling it up just so I can see and look what actually went down. All right, so they lost this past weekend 20-23, right? They were relatively in the game despite Anthony Richardson being absolutely awful. I guess my question comes down to this. Why are you throwing 32 times in a game when your quarterback is this bad and you have a healthy Jonathan Taylor who is rushing for 5.3 yards per carry?
Because you're down because of your defense. And that's the best answer I have for you. And you know this is a problem amongst NFL coaches in general, is they don't care if they're down by 3 points. They don't care if they're down by 7 points. They don't care if they're down by 20 points. If they're down, then it's almost as if they just remove run plays from the playbook. So I do think part of that is coaching. So I'm not going to just blame it on the defense not being able to hold people. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, if you're down 7 points in the first quarter, second quarter, you run the ball, Mark. You run the ball. That doesn't become an issue until you're halfway through the third quarter and you're down by 2 scores. Right? Like you down by 1 score halfway through the third quarter. If running is your best offensive option, you run the ball. It's very simple, man. Like it works. It worked in Tennessee with Derrick Henry. It's been working with the Ravens with Derrick Henry whenever they decided to do it.
And it's amazing to me that they just lost this week, and guess what? Derrick Henry only got the ball 11 times.
Yeah, it's something that is like I said, it's a plague, it's a problem within the current NFL coaching ranks. But yeah, he shouldn't be throwing the ball 32 times, especially if you know he's inaccurate. But you know, sometimes offensive coordinators, offensive minds, they want to showcase their offense. They want to show what their offense can do. They're going to call the plays that they feel like should get players open and should be able to convert. And then you know what they do when they get to the press conference, Mark? They don't say anything about them calling the game wrong. They say, we just need to execute better. What the fuck does that mean, Mark? What is that? What do you hear when you hear that? Because when I hear we need to execute better, to me, what I hear is you're asking your team to do things that they're not capable of doing.
Right. Well, listen, I just want when it comes to this whole Anthony Richardson thing, the boy's bad. The boy has a worse completion percentage than Tim Tebow. That's nuts. That is nuts. Like, this is why this is the ultimate cautionary tale, because now I think we can finally be done with this, with the premature bringing guys up after their freshman year. Right? Like, I think NFL teams should learn from this and stop bringing guys up after their first year. If you have not learned from this after watching Trey Lance and now Anthony Richardson, I don't know what else to tell you. It's time to stop.
Mark, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna say this right now. There has yet to be an NFL quarterback that was drafted after playing one season in college that has done well. And this is something I'm gonna give you, which is gonna sound absolutely insane. The person that has done the best under those circumstances is Mitch Trubisky. That's all you need to know.
Great.
That's not great. It's not great. It's not a good formula to take a guy that only started 1 year in college and then immedately bring them in as a starter in the NFL. They
shouldn't even be in the NFL. Period. This isn't this isn't basketball, man. Football does not translate right away. You will never be able to bring a guy directly from high school into the NFL. Never. Yeah. That dude will fail. And essentially that's what you're doing. You're bringing a high schooler into the NFL because he only played one season in college. So you're bringing a high school kid into the NFL expecting him to perform against grown men. Yeah. And then not only you bringing him against grown men, but you're bringing him in at the most important position in the game. Like you're setting these kids up for failure because Anthony Richardson could have been something more than likely. Trey Lance could have been something. Mitch Trubisky probably wouldn't have been anything anyway, but you would have found that out early. You would have found that out if you just let time do what it was supposed to do. But now you didn't let time do what it was supposed to do. So now we are in the situations that we are, and you're like, well, this dude is a bum, this, that, and the third. But hey, at least he got the high value money, and he can flip that.
Yeah. So yeah, but I'm with you. I don't know if I'll go as far as to say don't draft them, but what I'll say is this: yeah, first off, under no circumstances do you draft them in the first round. Number two, if you're gonna draft them, Mark, you said no, don't draft them. You can draft them. Draft them in the 5th round. Draft them in the 6th round. Draft them in the 7th round. I don't care. If you draft them any higher than the 5th round, you're wrong. Number two, when you do draft them in the 5th round, let them sit. Let them sit. I'm talking about when I say sit, bro, even if you think they're nice, they should only be the number 2. They should only be the backup at that point if you don't have 3 quarterbacks on your roster. You got 2 quarterbacks on your roster, you have no choice. He has to be number 2. That man should be number 3. We drafted Brock Purdy, who started multiple years in college, and you just felt like, okay, he doesn't have everything that it takes. And guess what? He was drafted in the 7th round, and he was a 3rd-string quarterback. He was projected to get cut when it came to camp. He actually beat somebody out to make it onto the final roster.
Right.
And everybody said that Brock Purdy looked better than every quarterback in camp. And guess what? Still had him at 3rd. You have to prove it to me. Okay? One season in college doesn't prove anything, Mark. You have to make these guys earn it. So, I can't even disagree with you when you say don't draft them.
Yeah. It's
Like,
not
even a bad thing.
Like, you have to let time do its thing, and you cannot microwave QB success.
Thank you, QB. Thank you.
You cannot microwave QB success.
Jordan Love would not be in the position that he's in right now if they would have started him his rookie year. Guarantee you that.
Like, that's not a thing you're able to do. There's two areas that you just cannot microwave the success. You cannot microwave the success of head coaches, and you cannot microwave the success of quarterbacks. And yet, teams watch Sean McVay be the youngest head coach, and then watch him go on to succeed. So then everybody went on a frenzy of, let me find this high school head coach. Oh, how old is he? Oh, he's 45? That's too old. Oh, this dude over here, he's 28 and he only coached 10 games in high school? What's the record? Oh, they won all 10 games in high school? Bring him up. Like, no, that's not what's supposed to happen.
I don't think people realize how long Sean McVay was coaching before he got that job. Like, he was coaching for like 8 years.
For a long time.
He's been coaching for like 8 years before he got that job. Yeah, he was like 32 and he was like the youngest coach. Motherfucker was coaching since he was in his 20s. What are you talking about? Like,
right? You cannot do that. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I hate it. But
yo, it's funny. You know what's funny? There was a picture. There's a video I saw. It was Bill Belichick breaking down the Shanahan coaching tree, and it was funny because they had him on the video camera, right? And they had a studio. In the studio, they had Chris Long, they had Ocho Cinco, and they had Ryan Clark. And he's going through the whole beginning. He's like, "It's the Broncos. Who do you see there?" And this is after. This is literally right after John Elway retired, and right after Clinton Portis. Not Clinton Portis. Right after Shannon Sharp went to the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that time period, Mark. And he showed the sideline clip. He's like, "Who's that?" John Elway's on the sideline with a headset on, right? Then he's like, "Who's that?" He's like, "That's I think it was Gary Kubiak." Right? And then he's like, "Who's that next to him?" "That's Clint Kubiak." It was like, at the time, was like 18. And then he's like, "Who's that behind them?" "That's Kyle Shanahan, like 20 years old." These dudes, these young dudes that the young coaches that have been successful have been coaching since they was in high school, man. Like, they were 18, 20 years old when they started ending up on these coaching staffs, okay?
Oh, another one that was brought up right away after very few years of success, or very few plays. Bryce Young. So
yeah, where you start for? Look, man,
Bryce Young, Mac Jones, like single
Mac
season.
Jones played 1 year, bro.
Yeah.
Look, they're gonna learn eventually, Mark. Maybe one day.
They won't. No, they won't. NFL is the worst. No, they will not.
They won't.
NFL is the worst at recognizing patterns. They're the worst at they just do not have the ability to recognize basic patterns.
Okay, here's the thing that I'll ask you then. What will stop first? Them taking these quarterbacks that have one good season in college, their junior or senior year, or them getting to the point where they don't overpay mediocre quarterbacks? When I say overpay, I mean resetting the market with mediocre quarterbacks. Which one do you think is going to stop first?
I want to say them what they're doing in college will stop first because overpaying quarterbacks is a marketing gimmick as much as it is like trying to find the next big quarterback. It's a marketing gimmick. Just to keep your team out there in the media, in the talk, you make a big splash by re-signing for big money. So that will continue simply because it is also seen as a marketing gimmick. Like, teams sometimes want to make somebody the highest paid for that reason alone. So yeah.
I hear you. You know, stuff like signing Tim Tebow to the Jets, stuff like signing Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, stuff like firing your coach in week 5. I guess all those things keep you. I mean, who's been talked about more than the Jets this season?
I mean, listen, hey man, I'm gonna say this loud and I'm gonna say it close to the mic so you guys can hear me. The Cowboys have been terrible for the greater part of 25 years. They barely won 2 playoff games in 25 years, and yet they're the most popular team because Jerry Jones understands marketing. He keeps you talking about them. He didn't re-sign Dak Prescott because he thought Dak Prescott was amazing and he was the best way they could win. He re-signed him because marketing, bro. I'm gonna keep my team talked. If I go to a rookie QB now, we won't be talked about as much. Our draft pick isn't high enough to get a rookie QB that makes a splash. So we gotta re-sign Dak for a lot of money to make a splash in the market so you can keep talking about the Cowboys.
Hey, why else would they make a trade to acquire Trey Lance, knowing that man is never going to see the light of day? Why, you know, Mark? Why else would they bring Zeke back? Why? Like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that are questionable that they be doing. But you had a good point, man. I had to let you get that off. That was, marketing. That's why. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to address this real quick. It doesn't really need to be addressed. But Troy, his last comment, it was a while ago, but he said he hates the way that they're attacking Anthony Richardson more than Will Levis and Trevor Lawrence. I'll say this. Will Levis has been bad. He's still a young quarterback. Yes, he hasn't been Anthony. Let's be very clear. There's a distinct difference between Anthony Richardson bad and regular bad. Okay, so Anthony Richardson is bad enough that every team in the NFL has been avoiding Joe Flacco's phone calls.
Right.
They now have named him the starter, which is probably for the rest of the season. I'll leave that. I'll let you figure that out, how bad Anthony Richardson is. All right? Number 2, Will Levis is still a young quarterback. He was not drafted as high as Will Levis, and he's playing better than him. Or excuse me, he wasn't drafted as high as Anthony Richardson. He's playing better than him, right? And then, now, let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. I hate to put it this way, Mark, because I feel like we absolutely should be talking about Trevor Lawrence more than Anthony Richardson because he's been bad for so long. But unfortunately, Mark, he plays for the Jaguars and nobody cares.
Right.
Like, that's the answer. If Trevor Lawrence played for any other team than the Jaguars and maybe the Chargers, if he played for any other team other than those 2 teams, maybe we would be talking about him, but nobody cares about the Jags.
Okay.
So, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, but off of the Anthony Richardson thing and him tapping himself out and getting out the game, I want to just bring this up before we head out of here, man. Joel Embiid in the Philadelphia 76ers have been investigated by the NBA. Because of Joel Embiid saying that he's more than likely not going to play back-to-back games and all this other stuff and blah, 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 blah. NBA was like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Aren't you supposed to be healthy? So you saying you healthy scratching? Like, what are you talking about, bro?" So they investigating the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid based on comments that were being made about Joel Embiid's lack of availability. He has still yet to play a game this season, and I think we're about 4 or 5 games in, and it's only the beginning of the season. I mean, Paul George hasn't played yet neither, but we all watch Paul George get injured. But the NBA, I guess they concluded that, and it said that the Sixers will be fined $100,000. Like they're going to be fined $100,000. Man, I got $10 in my pocket. You want it?
$10, you mean 10 cents, Mark? I'll take the 10 cents. I mean, that's the equivalent, right?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like,
come on, man. To the organization, that's chump change to an NBA player. I don't even want to know what it is for an organization.
Right, but basically what they're saying is that they concluded that the Sixers and Joel Embiid were not being completely truthful with the severity of his injury. They were making it so basically. What I got from it is that they were making it sound like he was just missing time for management, when that's not the case. He's missing time because he's doing some real rehab type stuff and all that. And that type of stuff. So essentially, he is more injured than they have been letting on, and that's why they got fined. They got not that he's healthy scratching, but because he is actually more injured than is being let on, is what I gathered from it.
Well, this is what I'll say, this is what I believe. Right? When I heard that, I'm like, they can't penalize them for them just healthy scratching.
Right. You can penalize for healthy scratching.
For televised games, they can. I want to be very clear. For televised games, they can. Right? But that's neither. That kind of is part of it. Some of these games are televised. Nationally televised games. Right? That's when they can get. Shout out to the Spurs for making that a thing. But nationally televised games, they can fine them for that. But outside of that, they can't. But they can absolutely really go at them if they're not being truthful in disclosing the severity of the injury. So I don't know per se if it's more of a situation like the truth of the matter. I don't know if it's more of he's more injured than are letting on, or whether it's just a situation that the NBA is like, we're going to get you the best way that we can to let you know we don't care if it's more severe or less severe.
Right.
We just don't like the idea of him coming out in the open and saying, I'm not playing games, and laughing about it. It's like he has no respect for the authority of the NBA front office,
or for the fans that pay ticket money to see the team.
I'll say this: more than any other league that exists in America, the NBA cares about the fans. The NBA front office absolutely cares about the fans when it comes to this type of things. So you can't do that in the NBA. So yes, I think the NBA is trying to nip this in the bud and send a message like, hey, if you guys think you guys are going to do this BS, nah, we're going to get you on the technicality. So, but what I really wanted to say is, Mark, David Stern is smiling down from heaven right now. You know what I'm saying? Like Adam Silver came in here and said, you know what? I'm with this new wave business. Let's make the NBA softer. You guys can travel travel as much as you want. Nothing is a travel these days. He came in and just said, let's make offense a thing. We don't care about it. Look at the last 2 seasons, Mark. Last year, we were shocked when they were like, nah, man, we want to put an end to the nonsense that's happening with these 144-point games. We want defense to be back. We're not calling everything. I don't want that no more. Like, all of a sudden now, Adam Silver is trying to bring back defense and then also get rid of load management essentially here. So,
here's the thing. Here's the thing about it is and we need to get out of here soon.
Yeah.
But it's affecting their bottom line.
It is.
It's affecting their bottom line. People don't want to watch a game where LeBron James is supposed to be going up against LeBron James and Anthony Davis is supposed to be going up against Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, and only James Harden is playing because Anthony Davis is missing the game and LeBron James is just taking a load management game. Like, nobody wants to see that. Like, that's like, and
then it's on TV.
And here's the biggest thing. You set this game. The NBA set the very first matchup to be the Milwaukee Bucks and the 76ers for a reason. They were the second day slate of games. There was only 2 games played that night, and that was supposed to be the Sixers, Milwaukee Bucks, and I forget what the other game was. But
it was Celtics versus the Knicks.
No, that was the first. That was night number 1. Sixers was night number 1.
Okay. The next name, I can't remember the game.
Yeah, but anyway, they did that for because that's supposed to be primetime television. Everybody wants to see Giannis and Dame go against Paul George and Joel Embiid and Tobias. That's supposed to be primetime television. You took that away from the fans. And you took that away from us. Like, the Paul George thing, you can't help that he got injured.
Yeah.
It happened. But the part of, you could have helped it by not going to get Paul George because Paul George getting injured.
That's a whole other story.
Surprise. You know what I'm saying? But but the Joel Embiid missing the game and him talking about, well, I probably won't play back-to-backs ever again. I'm not going to play right now. Like, are you healthy? Well, yeah, I'm healthy, but I need to manage my game. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
you can't say that and be laughing like Santa Claus afterwards, boy. Like, you should have known they was gonna come for you. But you're right. Now here's what I will say. Like, you're right. The Paul George thing you can't control. But if you're the NBA, immediately you're thinking Embiid has to play now.
Mm-hmm.
So then him basically being ruled out for the next 3 games, you're like, you're fucking up the money. You're messing up the money that we have here, because of viewership, advertising, all this stuff. It's amazing how money or lack thereof can drive change, Mark. And if you think the NBA is going to start another season where star players are seemingly just sitting out the game because they don't want to play opening night, like what happened is never going to happen again. I am almost certain that before the end of the season, there will be new rules in place. I don't even know how they're going to manage it, Mark. I don't know how they're going to go about it, but I can almost guarantee that there's going to be new rules in place, especially for the nationally televised games. Like, there's going to be a new rule in place when it comes to disclosing the nature of injuries and the severity of injuries. I remember when the NFL said, y'all not going to have a probable tag anymore. Y'all want to use the probable tag knowing that Buddy ain't going to play. Just use it as strategy. But then it messes up our TV ratings. We're not going to let you do that. Okay? So I feel like the NBA is going to change some things around this year. Like I said, Adam Silver, NBA front office, it seems like they're starting to finally get fed up, Mark, which hopefully is true, because that would mean that we're probably going to get a better brand of basketball in the near future. But as for right now, I'm just happy that something is being done immediately about it.
Right. Absolutely.
Crazy. I just got called Gideon. Mark, bro, I can't even go to the McDonald's up the street without somebody calling me Gideon. I don't know if you're familiar with who that is.
No, absolutely not.
He's a YouTuber. He's one of it's crazy. He kind of fell off a little bit, but he's like, the best way I could put it is, he wasn't as big as Kai Cenat, but he was like Kai Cenat before Kai Cenat. He was like he didn't have a lane for the YouTube stuff that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? But he was famous, YouTube famous. He was in that type of space. And yeah. Apparently I look like him. I get the Gideon stuff from the young cats all the time. Shout out to Nate Shepard. Hey, thank you for following us on Facebook recently. We did see that. You know what I'm saying? We got some new followers on Facebook. We appreciate you guys liking our content, all that stuff. But yeah, shout out to you, Nate Shepard.
Yeah. All right, man. So that's the end of the episode. We've been with you guys for 2 hours already. We're going to chop this one up for sure. I promise you that. We're going to chop this one up and make it more digestible for you and put that out in the coming days. Excuse me. But with that being said, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And remember, as always, it's only entertainment. Remember that this is a sports business, sports entertainment entity. NBA, NFL, all of it is called sports entertainment, not sports. So keep that in mind when you're making your bets. It's all for entertainment. They can mess with it if they want to. So do with that what you will. Always think about what is the most entertaining thing that they could possibly do and bet accordingly. With that being said, we appreciate you guys and we will catch you next Tuesday. Say bye to the public, Sean.
Hey, we'll catch you guys next time, man. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.